Although I'm a drop bar rider most of the time on my own personal bike, I do like swapping out handlebars from time to time just to freshen up the ride of my bike. I've ridden a lot of alt bars like the Nitto B903 Bull Moose bars, the Nitto Albastache bars, Nitto Bosco's, North Road style bars, you name it. I've tried a lot of different handlebars, but none of them have really been able to replace drop bars for me in terms of hitting everything that I want a handlebar to do. Until, that is, I tried the Velo Orange Granola Mooses. These are my favorite alt bar for town riding, and they might even just be my favorite handlebar now. I've been riding the Granola Moose bar for about the past month now. I've put a few hundred miles on it, even done a Fixie century on it, and it was wonderful. Like, I have pretty much no bad things to say about this handlebar. Speaking of something I have pretty much no bad things to say about, this video is sponsored by Wabi Cycles. Wabi's bikes flat out are just the most fun bikes that I've ever had the pleasure of throwing a leg over, and this right here is my dream bike. Limited edition Ube Purple Wobby Special with chrome lugs. Oh, and it rides even more nicely than it looks. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video and check out Wobby Cycles linked in the description to find out what makes them so special. When you first take a look at the Velo Orange Granola Moose bar, you're going to know whether you love it or hate it, and there's not normally going to be a lot of in between when it comes to love versus hate. Personally, I absolutely love the Moose style handlebars just for how clean it looks, how it gets rid of an entire component, which is, you know, what's more minimalist Fixie than that? There's only one bar angle, there's only one stem length. It simplifies the cockpit and cleans it up. Depending on your perspective, may be a good thing or a bad thing. And apparently it might just be a bad thing for business because Velo Orange, the original price on the Granola Moose is $130, but right now they are marked down to $50, which is ridiculous because their regular granola bar that attaches to a stem is more expensive than that. But that means you can get these at a steal right now. They are made out of 4130 chromoly. It's gonna be a heavy bar, but if you're looking at this bar, you shouldn't be really too concerned about weight. That's something I really like about this bar. It's a very particular handlebar that appeals to specific people. And if you are that person, you're going to love it because there's nothing else like it. And if you're not, there's other handlebar choices for you. It knows what it is. The Granola Moose comes in silver or black, and I went with the black just to make it look a bit more modern, a bit more mean, a bit less dad. But if you're familiar with Nitto's black finishes, it is more satin, more matte, not as shiny as the Nitto finish, which I actually prefer. As ridiculous as the Bull Moose bars may seem, there are actually some practical uses for them. This main hand position just out back, like a regular townie bar, is actually a super great position, at least for my bike fit. Your mileage may vary. Honestly, this bike has never fit better than with the Granola Moose bars. So do keep that in mind, that if you generally ride a 90mm to 100mm stem, these will probably fit on your bike just fine. The main hand position, I rode a Fixie century on this thing, and probably about 70 miles of it were just on this main backhand position right here, just cruising along. And even though it does look pretty wide, I find that it doesn't catch all that much wind, especially compared to some other wider handlebars. Like if you're into super wide risers or super upright bars, this strikes a pretty nice balance in between where it's upright enough to give you a pretty good view while not catching too much wind, and it just makes riding the bike a whole lot of fun. And during those 100 miles, about 70 miles on this back position, I didn't experience any wrist pain, no hand pain, no back pain, no neck pain, nothing. It was the most comfortable century ride that I've ever done. You could even use these bends here. I haven't used that because I prefer to have this Velo Orange bell. And the second hand position that I use a lot is right here, right in between where this crossbar is, this crossbar and this these stems meet. I like to place my hands right here. It gives a nice platform to just rest your hands and get a little bit narrower, get more aerodynamic to cut through the winds more. It's kind of like a pseudo hoods position. And then the last most ridiculous way to ride this handlebar is having your hands right up close, like right bang on, straight in the middle to get super narrow. You could bend your elbows, get into a respectably aero tuck position. Of course, it's not going to be as aerodynamic as TT bars or as drop bars, but it holds its own. I find that when I'm in this position, I can pretty comfortably cruise at like 20 miles an hour. It's kind of nuts because they look like dad bars and they do the comfy dad bar thing and give you all this leverage that you want from an alt bar for climbing out of the saddle, for riding off-road, but it can still hold its own against headwinds and slice through pretty convincingly. And then on top of that, you get the huge benefit of alt bars, which is that it cleans up your front area so that you can have a front load, and just adds a lot of utility to the bike. And the ride quality of the steel bull moose style handlebar on the Granola Moose, it is a touch more comfortable than having an aluminum stem and an aluminum bar. It does absorb a bit of the road chatter more. It's not going to be a huge difference, and it's something that you might not even notice, but because I swap out handlebars and have the exact same setup on my bike, it is something that I do notice. But the point is, it's going to be a very comfortable bar, and it gives you a lot of hand positions. With the Granola Moose bar, Velo Orange really hit the nail on the head with getting good dimensions out of the handlebar because it is not adjustable. And I find that like you don't need all of these adjustments between length and angle of your handlebars if the one that they give you is just spot on, like so spot on. At least for my bike fit. Everybody's bike fit is different, your mileage may vary. The Velo Orange Granola Moose bar for me is the first alternative handlebar that can reasonably replace my drop bars because it ticks a lot of the same boxes and excels in other areas and doesn't perform as well in other areas as it does with drop bars. Compared to drop bars, these are more comfortable. And I mean that, even though there's only like 3 usable hand positions, the hand positions are varied enough that I use all of them pretty frequently, and the main hand position is way more comfortable, at least for me, compared to the hood position on a drop bar. And this hands down beats drop bars in terms of comfort. And on top of that, because it is more upright, it does give better visibility and just makes riding my bike more enjoyable. There's a fun factor to it that I just don't get with drop bars. And then it's also reasonably aerodynamic. Of course, it's not going to be as fast as drop bars, but it does well enough for somebody who's not an ultra competitive cyclist. And it has more utility than drop bars in the sense that you can put on a front load. You can put on a rack, you can put on a basket, and it has plenty of clearance to carry whatever you want in the front, as long as it's not like a German Shepherd or a refrigerator. And compared to the standard drop bar, it's a lot more confident off-road because you have all this leverage, and especially important for me because I ride fixed gear. It does make climbing out of the saddle more bearable, and I feel like I can really manhandle the bike around and zigzag, and just the bike does exactly what I'm thinking. And it reduces that delay between thought and input and to what the bike is doing, and it just feels like a much more direct connection with the bike. It descends impeccably, it climbs pretty confidently, and it really feels firmly planted if you're riding on off-road. With the simplicity of the bull moose and just how manly it is and how unapologetically ridiculous it is, it really ticks the box and tickles a soft spot in my heart for really nailing how stylish they are and the looks of my bike, all while being different and unique. The Velo Orange Granola Moose bar is an incredibly underrated handlebar with only 8 5-star reviews, maybe 9 if my review has gone live on the Velo Orange website. It seems that not a people have tried it out, and especially with the steep discount, it just seems like there's something that they're trying to get rid of. And I encourage you to help Velo Orange get rid of these handlebars because they're pretty fantastic. And if you're somebody that's likes drop bars, and you're a little alt bar curious, these are my favorite alt bars that I've tried as somebody who loves drops myself. Especially if you're somebody that rides dirt drops, rides gravelly, flared out drops, and you like to have a front load, this is something that you should really check out. But also, if you're just an alt bar lover and you're somebody who hates drops, these are the first ones that I've tried that can reasonably replace my drop bars and are just as versatile and hit a lot of the same marks as my drop bars and could be my one and done handlebar. And at only 50 bucks right now on Velo Orange's website, plus they come with an integrated stem, or stems. They are a no-brainer steal right now. Speaking of no-brainer steal, get it? Steal. This video is sponsored by Wabi Cycles. My Wobby Special is the most fun bike that I've ever ridden. The way Wobby's bikes are designed is very holistic. They look at every single thing to make sure that it gives you the best ride quality for your money as possible. Wobby's fixed gear and single speed bikes are constructed with a mostly road-like geometry that's slightly more aggressive for the preferences of us fixed gear riders, because most of us that are buying fixed gear bikes are riding them on the street anyway. And they help to bring the ride quality to life with very lively, supple Reynolds 725 or Columbus Spirit tubing. The way that these tube sets flex, they plane really nicely where it feels like the bike is giving in, it's pliable, but still springing back and giving you a responsive ride quality. Because it is steel, it's durable, it can take a beating, it can be locked up, it can be crashed. I have crashed these multiple times before, and they're totally fine. It's the most fun, most reliable daily bike that I've ever ridden. If you're interested in getting one for yourself, be sure to check out Wabi Cycles, linked in the description. And Fixie famous shoutouts to David K, Salvador Lombroso, Julian Corona, Brandon Black, Brent David, Mario Perez, Ted Onchi, and Brakeless for helping to make these fixed gear videos possible through their support on Patreon. And remember that life is short, but don't make it shorter. So be sure to ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.